Hi everyone. So that was April. What a month, right? Lots of things happened here anyway, and that's what this video is about. It's just about things that happened on this channel, in case you missed any of them. There was a lot this month, a lot more than usual, and I think there's usually a lot of stuff. Anyway, let's not focus on that. Let's look at the things that you can see a camera. I'm about to film something else playthrough wise. Other electronics companies are available. So, what happened this month? Well, I mentioned it a bit in the recap coming up, and I won't go on about it too much. You can see some of the other videos there. But yes, live videos have started happening. I am still working it out. I'm still changing stuff around, trying to make things look better, run more smoothly and things. Handheld, recorded, edited playthroughs will still be coming, but live playthroughs will be coming alongside them. I've been having a lot of fun doing them. They've been fantastic. Thank you to everyone who has watched them and has watch them live or watch them back later as well. It's been really, really fun to have some interaction while I'm doing the stuff as well, and have people take part, even more so in some of the things we'll talk about later. So, and it's been a great opportunity. We'll start talking about the Gallerist, Vital Lacerda game, probably still my favourite solo Vital Lacerda game. It's about running an art gallery. It's quite a complicated game, although in the scale of Vital Lacerda games, maybe not quite so much. Where in the solo game, it's very, very simple. There is just Lacerda, your opponent, just moves around a set track, leaving assistants behind. You knocking the assistants or Lacerda out of their action spots will cause tickets to go away, which is the timer for the game. So mostly it's down to what you're doing, discovering artists, buying works of art and things. He will take up spaces in the international market, which is how you get special scoring tiles and things. But largely it is down to how you can do by yourself, but also how you can manipulate the fact that you know where he's going to go next. It's fantastic. I did a playthrough for it years and years ago. Another thing we'll talk about later. 5 years of doing these videos now, so I've done a lot of things. But yeah, it was a great chance to... I was just thinking, what do I want to play on these live playthroughs if we're just experimenting and stuff? The Gallerist. That just kept going over and over in my head. So did it. It was really fun, and yeah, I think it's a really good playthrough. I can't remember how I did in that original playthrough, but check out this one because it went quite well. So will the magic button work here? Oh, I should say, by the way, oh, look at these John Gets Games shirts. I think they're fantastic, and John Gets Games is great as well, isn't he? But I love that shirt. Love the purple token thing. Should have said that right up front. Oh, and I should say as well, practically all of this, not the picture that's right next to me, coincidentally, but almost all of the videos are made thanks to my Patreon, patreon.com/slickerdrips. If you would like to help out, every little helps in keeping me doing this and giving me the time to do this, because I'm still, part-time doing this and another job. Yeah, it gets a bit hectic, but the bigger the Patreon grows, and it has grown. Thank you very much to everyone who has been a patron before, but also that has signed up in April. And yeah, the more that grows, the more we can do here. But Scrumpy is a Kickstarter playthrough. The Kickstarter videos are paid videos. Everything else is funded for by the Patreon. So Scrumpy is a game that I've been talking about for about 4 years. You can look back quite early in the channel in the 2017 UK Games Expo video, where I show a much earlier prototype of Scrumpy, and it has come on leaps and bounds since then. And I thought it was great back then too. So, this is a game where it's a bit of a different kind of deck building game where we are trying to run these cideries, these cider manufacturers. And our cards, you can see on the picture there, my finger will go behind this picture, so I can't point at it, but you see on the back of all of the cards there, it's got some resources. When you gain like apples and wood and stuff, you draw from your deck or play from your hand. So you are essentially tying up cards that might be really, really useful to you. You can see what you've ended up losing, so you can see how desperate you are to get them back, and when you turn apples into cider, you can decide which cards do that. But that's one of the cool things about the multi-use cards in this. And the cards have an effect they can be played for, but you can also play a secondary action where they've got a resource in the corner, a lot of the cards, and you can play them to get an extra one of that resource. You can recruit cards up in that market in the corner there, and you get to take the action of the card that you are adding to your deck straight away, but you're limited to only 3 card actions and an action with your owner, with you, in a given round. Really, really different, really great. I've been pumped for it for a long time, and it's actually just finished on Kickstarter, funded, great success. Really pleased for Paul and everyone involved. So yes, Scrumpy. I'll put links in the description next to. I'll just put a big list with all the links for all these. I'm gonna have to speed up because we've got a lot to keep mentioning. Although some games come up a couple of times. So another thing, I did Mage Knight last month as I think my second live stream. It's like I've been saying for ages. I got Mage Knight back last year. I'm going to stick to it this time. I'm going to relearn it again, and then we're going to do a playthrough. Did the tutorial of it last year when I got the game back. Really excited. Never played it again. So had to do the tutorial again last month to refresh myself on it. But now I am all refreshed. And I was about to do another playthrough to kind of keep it in my head. And then Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules suddenly free that night. And either way, we ended up doing a 2-player Blitz Conquest, which is a bit shorter than the great big full Mage Knight thing. We did a dual stream where, you know, I do my turn, you see all of my stuff, and then when it's Paul's turn, I switch to his perspective, and on his channel, vice versa. So yeah, you can see our player areas all the way through the stream. It's a big one, it's a beefy one. It's 5 hours. It ended up being, but yeah, it flew by, and yeah, every time you play, well, especially for me as I'm kind of remembering stuff and rediscovering stuff. And discovering cards I probably never saw before. Yeah, it makes all sorts of connections and combinations happen. And yeah, wow, really, really loving Mage Knight at the moment. This time, I think I have played it enough in succession. If I stop playing again for a year, I'd probably forget all of that. But yeah, I'm going to try and keep this regular now and hopefully do different things in playthroughs. There's loads of scenarios. There's expansions I've never opened. But yeah, really, really enjoying Mage Knight at the moment. Next up, here we go. A recorded playthrough. Scrumpy was a recorded, edited playthrough as well. Fields of Arle, voted for by my patrons. That's one of the benefits of being a patron, as well as keeping everything going. You get to vote on videos, on top 10s. There's a Discord you can join, but the main thing is, hey, that's the reason I'm here talking to you right now. So yes, Fields of Arle, one of Uwe Rosenberg's great big box games, but it's only for 2 players. I had it years and years ago. We got rid of it at some point. I very vaguely remember all of that stuff. I can't remember why now, but it's been requested a little bit every now and then throughout the life of the channel, and those requests started getting a bit more frequent. So I thought, okay, let's get hold of Fields of Arle and see what I've been missing out on. And then I got an opportunity to to buy the Tea and Trade expansion that I'd never played. It came out after we'd sold the game, so this was my first time playing with all of this, and I've probably a factor of both. Changed a little bit, and maybe I was wrong a little bit in the first place, but really, really love Fields of Arle now. I think I remember thinking it was a little bit too open, but I don't mind that at all now, especially as a solo game, which is all I've played it as since getting it back, by the way. But yeah, as a solo game, I love having this kind of playground to do stuff in. There are still different buildings that you can build to try and adjust your strategy to, or see that you might need particular tools, you might need particular vehicles and things to get rewards, or you'll get those as rewards from the cards. But yeah, I've gone in completely different directions all the times I've played since getting it back, and the Tea and Trade expansion takes it to another level as well, because it adds in in a bit of a different way, but something I loved in Alubari, where you can give tea. Well, it was tea in Alubari as well. You can give tea to your workers, and it treats, a lot of actions are to do with how many tools of a certain type you've got. And so if you give them tea, it treats it as if you have 1 more of that tool, or specialty, 2 more of that tool. If you give them 2 specialties, they take the action twice. So yeah, that opens up a whole new can of worms, because do you even need to bother upgrading your tools anymore? Can you just make a decent tea engine, which you can with the new vehicles, and going off to the ships, the trading ships that will go off to far-off lands and come back with all sorts of commodities, including tea? Do you just go for that instead, or some combination of both, which is what I tried to do in the playthrough? But yeah, Fields of Arle solo playthrough you can check out. Next up is Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I played Paladins ages ago because I heard people raving about the solo. Really, really enjoyed it, and never got to film it. It's still in the background though. You can probably still see it behind me somewhere. but I think it's this shoulder actually. The chairs are in front of it. Never mind. Let's not focus on that. And then around Christmas, I think we were in this house. I got Viscounts, and we played it 2 players. I don't know if it's a particular combination of cards. I just got out the wrong side of the bed that morning. I remember having a frustrating game of it. Not necessarily annoyed about the game itself, but just I remember looking up a lot of stuff on cards and things not making sense for particular things that I had. I will say that I came back to it for the solo playthrough, practiced it a couple of times, and then went for the solo game. Had none of that at all. So, yeah, whether it's just the cards that day or just me in a mood. Yeah, when I moaned about it a few months ago, I didn't have any of that this time. So Viscounts, we are Viscounts going around on great big horses. You can kind of just about see my horse in between the title and the box there, and it's a card game where you have a display of cards. You will play a particular person you have recruited. You have some that you start with, and they tell you how many spaces you're allowed to move. You can pay some coins to move some more spaces, so you've got some flexibility on that. And then whether you're on the top or bottom track determines these actions that you're allowed to do, and based on all the visible symbols from upgrades you've had, from cards that you've played, different effects, how powerful the particular action you want to take is going to be. And yeah, it's got it's been used in a million other games, and I keep saying it's always side. But it's the side thing of, when you put these houses out, they uncover all of these bonuses on your player board that can affect wildly different parts of the game, whether it's just giving you more symbols in particular actions, or it is letting you move for more. You can, when you take an action, there are cards in all of the different sectors of the map, which 2 are modular and can be rearranged any way you want. You can discard the card on the top of there to power up the action you're about to take, and at the end of the round you can buy the card that's face up. So sometimes you're thinking, do I want to discard this thing, or do I really want to use it? And there's a thing with how corrupt you are, how corrupt or virtuous you are, and different actions, different people you will recruit will affect that. When your corruption and purity meters, I think I'm getting the purity word wrong, but it's definitely corruption. When those discs meet, it will cause a clash that will either reward or punish you, depending on how corrupt you are. But then all other players will get rewards or maybe punishments based on how many criminals they've got out, on how many of these criminal symbols that you can see on their boards at the time. So it's not just a thing that you need to worry about, it's a thing that everyone needs to worry about as well. Well, I'll kind of go on about some of these things because I didn't do first impressions for a load of these things that were live. Yeah, I've absolutely loved it. Absolute joy. Fantastic solo implementation as well. I did terribly because I read a thread and believed that all of the things were quite easy, to just the same difficulty level, and now it's apparently questionable whether that was true. I might have gone for a hard one first. Either way, though, I really enjoyed getting absolutely beaten by Viscounts, and there will be streams in the future. Maybe Viscounts again when I'm better at it, or with a different AI. But I do have Architects, and I have Architects now. Played that a week or 2 ago. Really enjoyed how snappy that was solo as well. And I had Paladins, as I mentioned. I've got the expansion for Architects on the way as well. At some point, maybe there'll be a week where it'll just be a big triple stream of all of the solo things from there. And I do have the box to make them all cooperative. The Tome Saga, is it? We haven't tried that yet, but I'd really like to do that, because Architects I've always avoided, because I know people have told me for years now, even the first Essen when I saw it, and I was trying to say that, yeah, but capturing other people's workers seems mean, and putting them in prison. I know it's the fundamental way you get your workers back. It's something you need to do. It's something you might want to happen. Still, I don't want to do that in multiplayer. Solo, I'm quite happy with it. Cooperatively, doing it to the AIs. I've had a quick flick through the rulebook. Doing it to the AIs workers, I haven't got a problem with that at all. So really looking forward to that. Maybe there'll be some recorded 2-player things of Architects and the whole West Kingdom thing. Let's see how that goes, Next up, Marvel X-Men Mutant Insurrection. This is kind of new Elder Sign. There's a lot new, but a lot of the fundamental things, going to locations, trying to roll certain combinations of dice to satisfy rows of of objectives, and once you've done all of the rows, you get a reward of the card. If it's not done by the end of a particular round, everyone there gets a punishment. You can go there and help each other. A particular kind of new thing in X-Men is that you have your fundamental card that tells you which dice you roll, and certain colours of dice are better at particular actions, but all the dice have all of the possibilities on there. You have that, and you have a little assist card as well. So you can just keep your assist card, especially if you're there on your own, you have to. But you can keep your assist card, and it tells you your full pool of dice to roll. But if you're at the same location as someone, I don't think the rulebook was very explicit about that, but that's discussed that on the stream. If somebody's assisting you in a location, they can give you their assist card. So they give you, instead of your particular dice from the pool, you get some of their dice that might help you out with the particular thing you're trying to achieve. But also, you get to use their special assist bonus, which you don't if you keep your own card. There's a load of extra things in there. Functionally, it's still Elder Sign. I wouldn't say I was the biggest fan of Elder Sign. I would say Elder Sign was more interesting. It was a little bit uneventful in the end, unfortunately. But don't let that put you off. Hey, that's what I think. Shadowrun Crossfire, another one that I was kind of thinking, let's get some of these things in the live streams that have just been kind of sitting around for ages, thinking I'll make a video for it one day. Let's just do it in a live stream. A couple of hours later, it's up for everyone to see. And maybe I should have had this in the live section. Maybe I said it last month. I know some people, the live streams are longer. There's bits where I talk to the chat and stuff. I know for watching them as a replay, they might not be ideal. You might want the handheld camera. Still going to try and keep all of those things coming along. It's just that definitely more time has been spent making videos this month that I don't know how much is sustainable at the moment anyway, in this kind of part-time state. But even if I were just putting in the same amount of time that I was in, say, January and February, the fact that they're live and they cut out all of that editing time means that it's a lot more fun for me to make, and I have found that making the actual recorded and edited things has been more fun alongside this stuff. It's been a lot less, especially the editing part, it's been a lot less arduous not having so much of it to do. But just the fact that I filmed these and then they're up and part of the library of like 460 something playthroughs on here is really great. So Shadowrun Crossfire, it's one of the best co-op games. It's a difficult game. It's a deck building game where it's a bit different as a deck building game. You're, rather than trying to craft this perfect deck that's going to have all these combos that go off, you're trying to craft a deck that is going to be good for your next turn or for the next player's turn, because you're going to get a good assist card. Full of different scenarios. Your characters level up, maybe a little bit slowly, but they level up even with failures. If you can fail, if you can fall with style, then you still get a bit of karma towards your next level up. Your level ups are stickers that give you special abilities, and as you level up, you have to start making the missions harder or taking on harder missions, up to the point where we've never tried this, but there is a dragon fight in there. I would love to progress to at some point, but here I started some fresh characters and I'd taken them on the introductory mission before the stream, did a big full mission in this stream. See how it went there. Rado popped in, and Rado is a great big lover of Shadowrun Crossfire, where I would have heard of it, I'm sure. Meadow is a set collection game, a brand new one. It's just come out in Poland, I believe, and is about to come out in the rest of the world. I've got a kind of special prototype copy, but you can see pretty much how the game is going to be in here. Absolutely beautiful artwork. I don't want that to sound like I'm edging away from the gameplay itself, because that is really fun too. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous, like watercolor artwork, is it? I'm no good with art. It's just lovely. Look at that cover right there. Just beautiful. And it's got like a little almanac with what all of the critters are and stuff. Absolutely great. But it's a set collection game where we are playing these kind of ground cards that have symbols on it, and then when you draft new cards, they have to go on cards that match that symbol. Some cards want to be adjacent to others. Some cards have loads of requirements on there. And you're always kind of losing something by playing a new card down. It covers up a symbol on something else. The solo game is... Oh, and it's got the kind of quadropolis kind of thing where you have a load of player markers that have got numbers on them. So if I put the 1 in the cardboard here, then I have to take, it's got an arrow on it, I have to take the first card there. If I'd played the 4, you would count 1, 2, 3, 4 and take that card. So it's got that element as well that was fantastic in Quadropolis. The solo game has a kind of AI player where you just shuffle up all the other players' tokens of that colour, and then you draw them out, and depending on how they were randomly put at the start, they're just taking things away and blocking off spaces for you. It was a really fun challenge. I think Meadow is well worth checking out. Anno 1800, another vote winner, I believe. This has been a long time coming as well, but it's here at last. A board game version of the very, very popular video game series. Great big 4X kind of things, right? I haven't played one. Maybe I should. You start out very basic with a few workers and a few places they can go in. Over the course of the game, you see all those tiles at the top of the board there. You are going to be getting these technologies. There's a big tech tree, so there's going to be requirements for you to get to the better and better things as you progress along. There is a great thing of trade in this where you can use other people's things. It doesn't affect them at all. You just get to use their technologies if you have enough trade tokens to spend, and they earn gold by you doing that. There are loads of, every time you get a new population, you start off with a load, but every time you get new people, which you will want to do so you can do more things before you have to spend a turn bringing them back, every time you get a new person, you draw a card of that type that has a goal to fulfill to get a bonus, and you'll be worth points. And the aim of the game is to get rid of all of your cards as well. It's a kind of push and pull between wanting more people to make things easier, but ultimately, are you the person that is just going to try and fulfill all of these things, get loads and loads of points and not worry about the game ending, or are you going to try and be the person that powers through and hopes that they've got enough points while everyone is not really expecting that end of the game? There's a first impressions and everything for that, so I shouldn't go on about it too much because I did there. Anno 1800. Then Queen's Architect, so it was the holidays for a couple of weeks, and Rach, who hasn't really been able to be in videos for a while, joined me for a couple of live videos, this for one of her favourite games, and I love it a lot as well. A race game, Queen's Architect. We have this great big kingdom that needs things building in it. There is a little rondelle, you see that little star there, that's your player board, so you can only move a few spaces clockwise to pick your action. You'll be travelling around, you'll be hiring new workers. The workers are these hexagons that you can see here, and all around the hexagons are these numbers. And depending on where it's pointing to the arrow in your player board, that tells you how effective they're going to be when they build. When they build, they rotate. Some workers start off great and go down in descending order. Some start off rubbish and go up for a bit. And a lot of them kind of wave up and down. Some days they're useless, some days they're fantastic. So you want to plan through various manipulation and twisting some of them and not others to try and get the best builds, because on the side that's covered up by the board there is a track. If you've seen Under Falling Skies recently did this kind of thing where there is just a track of different number discs, and say I earn 15 favour with the Queen, I could maybe jump up loads of spaces in one go, so you're kind of trying to plan your build out that way as well. You're trying to race to the top of this track and then get back to the middle and do a great big build there to win as well. And this is a 2-player live thing with Rach. And then the next day we did another one where it's Biblios, Quill and Parchment, the brand new roll and write version of Biblios. And after that we had a Q&A as well. I love Biblios, I love it in its normal card game. What was I can't remember the word. It's normal card game form, and I've never really done a playthrough for that because Little Glass Marty isn't the best for games of that nature. Maybe Rachel will be in a playthrough of it at some point. But yeah, the dice game's fantastic as well, and the roll and write game, I played a few games of it solo in practice for this, where it's great too. But it keeps loads of those things of collecting the sets, of trying to progress your worker along this map, which I know wasn't really in the other games, but the two-sided nature of the game, where in the first side we're rolling all of these individual dice, trying to pump ourselves up as many things as possible, or really focus on particular colours. You're limited in the things you can reroll. You can either reroll one dice or all of your dice. So you're limited in that way, especially if there's a few things that you want to reroll half of them. You're either going to have to keep some things you don't really want, or give up those things you've got to reroll them all. And then in the second half of the game, there is a display of dice instead. and we have to spend influence. We've spent the first half of the game accumulating. We now have to spend it in an auction to get these rows of dice in the second half too. Works absolutely fantastically. So that's Biblios, Quill, and Parchment. Next, there was I got a package from the Detective Society. You can watch that if you'd like to know what it is. It's kind of a teaser for something. And after that, it's just kind of a last-minute stream. After that, I went through some of the games that had arrived. There will be a coming up video next week, along with all of the votes for the Patreon stuff, if you would like to watch that then. If you'd like a sneak peek of some of those games, though, it's in this stream too. But yeah, there will be some Detective Society things shaking soon, I think. There was a playthrough I did for the original Detective Society Kickstarter as well that had Rach in it. You can find that on the channel too. One Card Wonder may still be on Kickstarter. I think it is on Kickstarter now still. Really fast, snappy game of gathering resources. You can see just behind the word overview there, we have our own One Card Wonder that wants all of these rows of resources to be given to it. Over the course of the game, we can build special buildings that will give us abilities unique to us when we take particular actions. There is a display of resources. When you take them from the bag, you get some for yourself, but you have to put some on the public board as well, which might make other actions more viable for other players. Really great, snappy filler game. Maglev Metro is a brand new train game from Ted Alspach, who designed Suburbia, Castles of Mad King Ludwig, among many, many others. This isn't really like them. This is a hex-based train game. But in it, you will be laying down track, trying to build stations of particular colours. You've got a player board that starts out with just a few robots in it. You can put them on actions to make those actions more powerful. So it might be that at the start of the game, you can only pick up one passenger per action. You get 2 actions on your turn. But I can put more robots in there and maybe pick up 4 in one go in a station. And same with building track and moving around and stuff. You can't move your train. You can't turn your train around until it gets to the end of your tracks normally, unless you lock that action. You can unlock different colours of passengers as well. And if you've got that, you are able to pick them up and also build their station, which puts those passengers into the big bag. It just starts out with robots at first, and then all these passengers come in. And you have some scoring cards that you're trying to fulfill also. In the solo game, you see on the right-hand side there that there are a couple of cards that restrict where you're allowed to build, but mainly at the start of every one of your turns, you take a person out of that bag and pop it to the side. That's the kind of timer for the game. If the bag is ever empty and you can't do that, the game is over. And you lose a point for every one of those passengers that's out there. So the time pressure is really on for that. Oh, and it's got these lovely clear tiles as well with the, kind of metro map it will make by the end of the game. Especially, I do show it off a bit. It doesn't come across as much in solo, but if you're playing a multiplayer game, all of the different colours of tracks line up all beautifully because it's like clear perspex and stuff. Works really nicely. Ginkgopolis, a request. This is an older game that has just gotten a reprint in the last year or so, and which is largely the same. I've got the old version. I think the wooden pieces have been made nicer, but fundamentally the game is the same if you've got that newer version. And in this, we start off with this basic 3x3 grid city that you can see, with a deck of cards that has those 9 colours and numbers in it. But also all of these letters that you can see around the outside there. And you will either be playing a card for just a resource, or you will be playing a card on a letter. It puts a new tile outwards. It builds the city out, and you will get some benefits based on the tiles that you've gone next to. Or if you play a card that's already out there to build with, you play a tile from your hand on top of that tile. There's some restrictions if you want to change the colour or play a number that's lower than the number already there. You have to take some penalties. But you will you kick the person out that was already there. They get their token back and some points. But you start to build upwards. And then when you play cards, or when you play that particular card in future or build next to it, instead of just getting 1 resource from it, it's a 2-story building now. So you get 2 resources from it, and so on as you go up. But also for overbuilding, you get that card, the card that you just built over, you get to keep it. And the early numbered cards will give you bonuses depending on particular actions that you take. And the higher numbered cards, if you build over them, you will get end game points for satisfying certain conditions as well. Solo game is there's a bit of look of the draw in there, but it's so quick and smooth. Like Ginkgopolis anyway is a really elegant system, but the solo game is particularly snappy as well. So you can see a replay of the live solo playthrough of that. Cloudspire has kind of been. I've been worried about Cloudspire for ages. I got it at the last Essen that we went to, and I have tried many times to kind of not particularly get my head around it, because I think I understood, functionally the rules of the game, but it was just I felt afterwards I don't really know why I did the things I did or what went wrong, what I should have been doing, and yeah, it just kind of sits there, and I feel guilty about it. And then I decided let's finally get to it. Let's do a playthrough of it. And Paul Grogan, who has, I think now, I don't think had on Cloudspire, but he's now working with Chip Theory Games on things, I believe, is stepped in. He has streamed Cloudspire. He had to refresh himself on it a bit, and we were a bit worried about how the stream would go. Turns out it went really well. We did a dual stream, but we both played a solo game. We played the very first chapter of the solo scenario, because Cloudspire, I should tell you what it is if you're completely unfamiliar with it. You can see this map here. It's kind of a tower defense game. In this particular chapter, there are two sides. We each have minions that we will put out that will just venture to the other person's gate along these paths. Some characters are able to go over different terrain, but mainly they'll go along these paths. When they meet each other, they'll fight. We have spires. You can see those chips piled high. Spires from each side will fire at the minions, not at each other. They'll fire at the minions and hopefully do some damage. You roll some dice to see what the spires do. But yeah, all of these factions have tons of different abilities, of statistics, of special keywords. Similarly to my struggles with learning, it took me a few tries with Too Many Bones as well to get to that. And yeah, there might be some Too Many Bones stuff cooking. Who knows? I would like Too Many Bones to return as well. But yeah, the stream went fantastically well, I think. Afterwards, as we were talking about where we went wrong, where we went right, it really helped both of us out doing a dual stream of it. Even though it's a solo game, we both made suggestions that stopped us losing the game that the other one hadn't realised. So that went really well, but also the byproduct of that is, I think, there'll probably be rules, mistakes, and stuff in future videos, of course, but I think I've got the kind of basics of Cloudspire down, and I want this to continue. I will be, I've got plenty of stuff for Cloudspire now. I will be carrying it on in the future, I believe. So you can watch our solo playthrough of that, our dual solo playthrough. Oh, look at that floppy head guy. It's still a bit floppy now, though, isn't it? Look at this bit. Top 10 Uwe Rosenberg games. Voted for by the patrons. Yeah, I love Uwe Rosenberg's farming oeuvre, and his Polyomino piece one as well, which sometimes merge. Yeah, a designer I absolutely love, a very, very popular Eurogame designer. You can find out my favourite 10 of his games and be shocked at a couple of fan favourites that aren't there. Not much to say about that. I talk about it all in that video. Dice Theme Park. An overview went up for that. It's on Kickstarter right now. Alleycat Games did Dice Hospital. Fantastic game that I covered, I think, quite early on in the channel as well. Dice Theme Park keeps some stuff of that, but where Dice Hospital was all about trying to discharge all your patients all at the same time to keep them at steady numbers and then discharge them all at once for the most points. Dice Theme Park is all about taking these dice visitors, getting them on certain attractions. You need certain combinations of dice to be on there, but kind of pinballing them between attractions, keeping their excitement level high enough that they want to stay in your park and go to other things. But when an attraction is activated, their excitement goes down by one, everyone that just went on that ride, but then one of the visitors goes to an adjacent attraction. So you're trying to kind of work out, you can move them around as well with these tokens, but you're trying to work out, how can I activate as many things as possible? How can I use my turn most effectively? And you'll get more attractions with different abilities and different rewards. You can throw mascots in there that normally in the basic game just will bump up someone's excitement by one, or let you temporarily treat them as a different color of dice. but you can get mascot tricks in adding a module onto the game where they will do unique things as well, similar to the specialists in Dice Hospital. It just works brilliantly. It's a paid overview. I say it in there. I said it at the start of this video, but yeah, I can't get over how much I love Dice Theme Park. 27th of April, this past week, well, a few days ago actually, was the 5th anniversary of Slickerdrips, since I picked up my phone and made a video for Castles of Burgundy, the card game, in 2016 now. Somehow, it's been bizarrely long, and this is a self-indulgent, bit of a silly top 10 here, where I just basically go through 10 moments of the kind of history of the channel. It had kind of morphed from a top 10 into a Q&A by the end of it. And yeah, the things I want to show off, some of it is kind of the history of the channel and what I did early on. If you haven't been watching for that long, and chances are you haven't, maybe there's some things that you've missed out on, but especially there are some videos in there that's maybe not particularly normal playthroughs, but that I absolutely love making and I've got great affection for still. And if those videos can get a little bit more love, it will all have been worth it. But there you go, you can check out, a brand new anniversary, brand new Posh Marty that Rach has drawn for it as well. Love that. And then, this is all this week. I should be remembering this really clearly. I thought now, I've got Mage Knight in my head. Let's keep it there. Let's take it further. Let's do a full solo conquest, a full game of Mage Knight, which I can probably do in about, when I've done ones on my own, about 2 hours it takes me. It was another 4.5 hour stream. It was a great big one, but it was a fantastic, probably the most enjoyable game of Mage Knight I have had yet, solo. Because things just seem to click. It's as with all Mage Knight games, it was full of kind of tough moments, deciding between your options. But yeah, I think if you're into Mage Knight, this especially was a great stream. And then last night, I'm filming this a day in advance, by the way, but we tried an experiment that was kind of suggested by someone in the chat a few weeks ago, I think. I wish I could remember who, so I could credit them. But people were requesting, or suggesting, why don't you do a playthrough where people watching can play along with you? I thought that was a great idea, and then someone suggested Quacks of Quedlinburg. So I found a copy. I did a playthrough for it when it first came out, when it had its German title, and I had paste ups of the things. I since didn't have it anymore. I think I'm going to keep it now. I really, really enjoyed last night's stream for the game itself, for the fact that I was playing against Team Marty, made up of the audience, and yeah, it ended up working out quite well. Herb Witches just adds more things to it. It adds more possibilities that the tokens can be. It adds some witches that are like one-time powers throughout the game that you can use. So it's nice little additions, nice variability to add on. I was told last night in the chat that the Alchemist expansion, which has just come out, makes the game a bit more thinky, a bit more tactical. So I would like to try that as well. But yeah, this was a really fun stream. So check it out if you'd like to see it back, and let me know what else you would like to see. What else you think would make a good play along me versus the audience game? Because we should do another one of those soon too. Then things that haven't happened yet, but are about to happen in a few hours. The Isle of Cats. It's set up in front of me. Look, if you don't believe me, here's a card from it. The Isle of Cats solo playthrough. I did a video for this when it was first on Kickstarter a couple of years ago, I believe. This is a polyomino laying game. We have all of these polyomino cats. If only I had all these games set up so I could just grab all of these to show you. I don't even have a thumbnail. I have the coming soon thumbnail up there. We're going to recruit all of these cats to fill up spaces in our boats, fill up rooms, go over treasure chests and get special treasure pieces. We will, in a multiplayer game, you draft cards where you want a load of cards with different abilities on them. There are cards that will score you points immediately or at the end of the game, will let you take treasures. They all have a cost, though. You get loads of fish at the start of a round. All the cards cost fish to keep. So even if you're drafting particular cards, you might not play all of them. And you are also trying to get baskets that will give you the opportunity to get cats onto your boats to rescue these cats. But they cost fish as well, and fish carry over into the next round, so you might want to save up for a great big round later on. Loads to think about in here, but it's one of those games where the fundamentals of it. There is a family version as well to really simplify it to get started with. But even in the full game, the actual kind of steps of a round, very, very simple, very, very streamlined. It's all, the combinations of cards and the cats and treasures in the display and what other players do as well. There are public lessons where everyone can score them, can really shake things up. I'm sure I said that in my... you can see my original playthrough and first impressions for all of that, probably. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it will have been a great stream. It'll be too late for you to join me on it, but you can watch it back like all of the others. And also, going live tonight, it's been live for patrons for the last week, but Maracaibo, I did top 10 of 2019 at some point in the recent past, and some glaring omissions from it. It got pointed out many, many times in the comments, in tweets, in private messages, that Maracaibo was the most prevalent of those. How have you not played Maracaibo? And a lot of people just going, based on games you say you like, I think you would like Maracaibo. So I bought it. I played it. We played it 2 players. I played it solo a bit. I did a solo playthrough of it as well because I think that the AI in it works really beautifully. It's fantastic. It takes loads of things that I love from Great Western Trail. I miss not having a deck of lovely cows to deck build with, but a lot of the new stuff in Maracaibo works beautifully. You're going around this great big map. You can see there these numbered spaces. Some are just villages where you can take village actions. Some are cities where you can take the great big marked out action. You can deliver goods to them, which will get discs off your player board, which will unlock more village actions, which will unlock more points, money. You're playing cards and paying money for those, often money, not always, to get special abilities, to get you these synergy tokens. There's so much going on in there. But yes, I was definitely, I've been a fool to have been missing out because it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad it was pointed out to me so many times, as I am for a game that will come up early next month. Well, Taverns of Tiefenthal was another one that got recommended to me as an omission, and that will be going up for patrons today, actually, too. Not today, yesterday. It will be up for patrons. Yes, so that is everything, I believe. An absolutely packed month for April. I know that loads of that is down to live stuff, but I don't know where my piece of paper is. I was trying to work out how many hours of finished video went up in a given month, and as I mentioned, it takes so long to edit these videos as well as actually film them and all of that stuff. With the addition of live stuff and kind of a new excitement for all of this, all of these new things, a ridiculous amount of stuff went up this month. I don't know how how that's going to shake out long term. I'm sure that this level, I was pumped up by the anniversary as well for this month, wanting to kind of do something special, do some more stuff, with it being the anniversary, the 5th anniversary of doing all of this. So it'll probably calm down at some point and settle to some kind of equilibrium, but we'll see. We'll see how the Patreon does, see how the reaction is to all of these videos that have happened. It's been great so far, and it's been great doing all of these videos for 5 years. You can see that top 10 channel memories for the full sentimentality and thanks for being here, but still in this one too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching all of this stuff. Hopefully some of this will appeal to you and will be fun to watch in some way or another. I hope you'll join me for some of the live streams that will be happening in May. You can find out about them. I do a post every Monday about what is coming up, but they come up in your subscription feed as well, I think. Thank you very much for watching though, and I'll see you for another month. Bye everyone.